All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I love to give all praise, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who started this 100% truth. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the Akim, pushing the truth and sincerity. And shalom to the sincere Aqua that may be out there watching and learning. To Brother Call from the James Columbus, Ohio camp, coming back again with another lesson through the Spirit. And in this lesson, I've been noticing this a lot more, which, I already kind of seen it, growing up and, really, oddly enough, watching my parents, my mother, you know, manipulate certain situations, to get, whatever gain there needs to be, you know, um, and that's just the way of the world, and it's a sad reality that you gotta do certain shit or fake certain emotions and things like that to, get what you want. You know, there's been many situations, it could be something as simple as, you got your order was messed up, right? You might have been missing something or something. Instead of getting, a replacement on the item that was messed up or, you know, um, uh, getting the item that you were missing, whatever, you manipulate the situation to where you get a whole nother meal, like the whole get up, for free. Little things like that. But what made me think about doing this lesson, I was, as I go to work, being in a certain position, you know, the bosses will tell you, okay, there was a situation recently where we had went and rented a trailer, right, from a rental spot. And when we got the trailer, it worked fine, but it was missing a ramp, which we needed the ramp to load up a machine. So we get the trailer back to the shop, you know what I'm saying? And we're trying to load the machine. We got some ramps ourselves, but our ramps won't work. We're like, damn, we can't use this ramp. So one of my boss's responses was, damn, we got to take it back. We got to, reroute the whole day, of course. But then he's like, yeah, man, when you get there, see about getting another ramp, man. Make it feel like it's their problem, And as I talk to these people, they don't replace ramps at this rental spot anymore because people tend to lose them often and they don't get anything out of it. And they've replaced them over the years and it's become a burden, right? But just hearing them say, try and make it like their problem. So it's pretty much like I gotta, manipulate the situation, cry out a little bit, you know, uh, just little shit, throwing dirt, all these things. It's like, damn, this is really the way of the world, you know. This is really the way of the world. Nothing leans on moral anymore, and that deceit has always been here since the beginning. But it's like, damn, this is the world we live in, you know. And the kingdom ain't gonna have to manipulate no situations or use deceit to get what we want or for progress to happen or anything, But that's what majority businesses thrive off of, that deceit, that manipulation, you know. Even even being a salesman, when you're a salesman, your job is to sell a product. Even if this product has certain flaws, any of that, most people are not going to be completely honest about their product, right? They're going to do whatever they have to do to sell you whatever they're trying to sell you, you know. So that manipulation is a big thing. It's deceitful, you know. So I just wanted to get a couple precepts, man, because Esau is the father of this deceit shit, you know. Scriptures speak about that. The state of the ruler is also the state of his people, roughly paraphrasing, and you see that, you know. But I just got a few precepts, Lord willing. Um, start here in 2 Corinthians 11. Um, or yeah, 2 Corinthians 11, verse 13 in NLT, it says, "These people are false apostles. They are deceitful workers who disguise themselves as apostles of Hamashiach. But I am not surprised. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." You know, there are a lot of people out here that disguise themselves to be righteous, to be clean, to be this, that, and the third. But whole time they're deceitful, workers of darkness, you know, constantly trying to get over on the next person, you know. And it's almost like, damn, like it makes you question how do you move, you know? Because honesty in this world doesn't get you anywhere, and that's a super sad reality to me. I've, been in many situations where I'm just like, man, I'm gonna just be honest, you know, more specifically dealing with women, you know, because these women these days, they don't understand that men can deal with multiple women, etc. Situations like that, and I just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna just tell her what's going on. Like, okay, yeah, I did this, I did that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? What does it amount to? More problems. You thinking, because everybody scream, just be honest with me, just be honest with me. Then you get honesty, it's a whole different, you know, hunk of shit, you know? So it's like you just avoid the problems altogether. But then you go to work. You can't just be honest, you know? You're dealing with a customer, you gotta tell them what they want to hear in order to keep the job, in order to bring the money in. You don't bring money to the company, you ain't gonna have nowhere to work, And that's at every spot. You see? Without customers, the world don't go around, you know? But it's all built upon deceit, man. You know? Like I said, that's a sad reality. When I just look out at the world, man, everything is built upon lies, upon manipulation, man. You know? But let's go here. Romans 16 and verse 18. It says, "For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple." See that? Them good words, them smooth words. I'm gonna get that next, Lord willing. You know, just slick at the mouth. I work with a guy now. Cool, super cool dude. But slick at the mouth. Knows how to talk to people like a motherfucker. Even if it's some bullshit, just knows how to run that mouth and make people like him. The whole time, you have an agenda. You know, shit. Talking to females in general. You have an agenda. But you gotta talk slick, put a little razzle dazzle on the situation, make this shit sound good, so you can get what you want. That's the world we live in, man. Everybody just trying to get what they want. That's it. You know? It's sad as hell, man. You know? But I know here amongst this brotherhood, here in GMS, Great Millstone, we don't live like that. We're not manipulating each other to get what the fuck we want. We don't have to try to finesse a brother, you know, to get some gain, get a couple dollars, whatever. Just be straightforward about that shit. And that's one thing we do here, man. And for those that are that way, and that manipulating spirit, trying to finesse a brother out of what he has, you know, they eventually get weeded out. Because we don't move like that, man. Taking advantage of brothers younger than them, that's happened. But them brothers always eventually get weeded out, man, because that shit's going off. We don't have to be deceitful amongst one another, you know, trying to get off a product, you know, trying to get some money, taking advantage of brothers. We don't move like that, man. That shit's going off. All right. If anything, if he gonna manipulate anything, it's gonna be to help a brother be better, not to take from him, you know. You might supplant a brother, hey man, we about to go do this. Whole time we about to go work out, you know. This thing over here is about growth. It's about being better. Okay, that's what it's about. But this world is full of manipulation, man, full of deceit. Full of it. That's why this place got to be destroyed, man, and be cleansed. You know, I'm saying the kingdom we ain't have to, uh, be deceitful and lie, and we don't have to do that shit. There ain't gonna be no reason for it. All right, let's get this. Um, yeah, it was the same scripture. Psalms 55 and verse 21. It says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords." See that? That's a tactic of Esau, man. You know, you go into these jobs, and these different offices. They're trying to hire you. You're trying to get a deal, a brand deal, a business deal, whatever the hell it is. You know, they'll tell you the good shit. You know what I'm saying? Tell you the benefits, this, that, the third, but they don't tell you. You know what I'm saying? The small print, the fine print. They don't tell you the shit that's behind the scenes. Then you get to getting into situations with this company. Whatever it is, whatever deal, whatever it is that it may be. Then you're like, damn, this is not what I signed up for. What you thought you were signing for the whole time, it is what you signed up for, but you just didn't get a chance to go over the fine print and understand fully what you're getting into. And why is that? Because they manipulate the situation. That's why when you go get these jobs and deals, all these deals, they got this thick ass stack of papers, right? Who's gonna sit there and read that? Even if you send it to a lawyer, you don't even know that the lawyer is gonna sit and actually read every single page of this paper of this contract, whatever it is, right? They probably just, and this is just me thinking, they probably just know certain pages. Okay, I should check this page, I should check this page, and won't. You know what I'm saying? But there's always more to these situations, man. There's always so much more to it, right? That goes back to that deceit, that manipulation, and of course, we all took part in the way that this man has governed around the world, right? So might as well end it off with that. Us through the spirit, you know what I'm saying, that came into the truth. We've gotten away from that and amongst each other, you know. But these people in the world, man, they still hold dear to these different ways of living, you know, that manipulation and lies and deceit, the tactics of Satan, right? John 8:44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Man, and that's the breakdown. This man's a liar, this man's a thief, so-called white man. All right, if I haven't said it already, you know. This man's a liar, he's a thief, man. All right, and that's all this kingdom that we live in today is built upon. That's it, straight lies and deceit. All right. There is no truth in him, man. All right. Only thing you can't lie about is the shit you see. And even that, you know, everything ain't what it seems, man. This deceitful kingdom, man. This place is set for a great reckoning, man, for many, many, many reasons, man. And this is just one of them. All right. But Lord willing, that's it. I just had to get that out, just really, really realizing the way that this world is manipulated, man. It's insane, you know. But with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory again unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors again to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. That I'm going to say Shalom and the Bible Ball.